Hey, where are you?
It's our first family trip in a while, so I just want to enjoy it with my family after all. We will go home after finishing our sightseeing. Maybe you can run home. I'm not sure how many days that would take.
My mother-in-law laughed as she made me.
You liked this spa town, right? Enjoy it on your own today. There's laundry to do, and our son I back from his training camp at some today. So get home tonight to finish that.
My husband happily ordered me around. I couldn't hold myself back anymore. You should do your laundry yourself.
Hey, what's with your attitude? I'm the breadwinner of this family.
Times have changed. That's not how work anymore.
You really are rude today. I will teach you a lesson when I get home tonight, so be prepared.
You can just forget what I'm never going to see you again anyway. My husband and in-laws all exclaimed with surprise. My name is Ava. I am a 42-year-old worker. My husband James is 2 years older. We met at work, where he was my son. He was good at his job, so I respected him, and we got married. We had our son Lucas shortly after married, and we were happy. But our relationship fell apart if I were to say that the reason our relationship fell apart was my husband's parents, that wouldn't be an exaggeration, especially his mother. She never liked me, and she always harassed me. My husband used to protect me and was 6 far away from them.
So I could handle it because I didn't meet my in-laws often.
But around the time that our son started school, James was transferred to an office. The office James was transferred to his hometown, where his parents still lived. Both James' workplace and his son's school are near my in-laws. So we suddenly ended up living them. In order to accommodate my family, I had to quit my job and find a new one in my hometown. I found a job at a much nicer company than the one I was working at before. I have to work overtime, but I can generally leave early. Because of that, I had more time to dinner and prepare lunch boxes for and son, but that also meant I had to interact with my mother-in-law more because she needed to be home early and would come and visit us often. She would come over specifically to so life got very stressful. Around that time, my in-laws planned to go to a spa resort town and invited me. They said they wanted Lucas come. I asked Lucas if he was interested.
I have training camp for my teams.
That's what he replied.
He's been playing baseball since middle school.
And the high school he's at now has a strong team that even does training during school breaks. Really? I guess there's nothing about it then.
Huh. Are you really going to go?
I like spas, after all.
Will you be okay?
Lucas knew very well how his grandma me. He also knew that his dad has been me recently as well. It seemed as though he was worried that something might happen to me. It should be okay. If something happens, I'll deal with. Lucas seemed to understand. The days passed, and soon enough it was time for the trip.
About tomorrow, after you get the Rego and pick up mom and dad.
James spoke to me without peeling high away from the TV. What will you be doing when I go to the rental car?
I'm exhausted from work, so I'll sleep in until right before. You can come pick me up after you pee parents, right? Our home is in the direction of the anyway.
Recently, my husband is always like, he forces me to do anything that he wants, which is very annoying. I was also at work all day and I do all the housework. I'm the one who made his lunch and the dinner he ate just now. No matter how you look at it, I'm better than he is. But James just thinks about himself. When we first got married, we used to divide household chores equally. Even when our son was young, he would always want to go outside. As Lucas got older, James became increasingly responsible at work.
So he began doing less housework.
But he would still help out with cleaning on the weekends. But since we moved here and his moth visiting more often,
He completely stopped helping around the house.
it must be because my mother-in-law talks against me.
Why is James doing housework? That's the wife's job, isn't it?
Is what she'd always say.
He's the breadwinner, so he should on work.
She would say that every time she could and little by.
She trained herself into not helping out around the house. And
That's true. There's no need for me to do housework. I wonder why you've made me do it.
he would even blame me for the fact that I had helped out around the house so far. It was beyond my control, and there was no way to fix it. In the space of a few years, James had changed.
He started having trouble at work and began lashing out at me regularly.
Even if I tried to speak to him, he wouldn't listen. It became annoying for me, so I just stopped trying. That was the least stressful way for life. I considered getting a divorce, but Lucas was going to a private, high-S tuition, was expensive, and when he starts university, things only get more expensive. I decided I would just ignore James as possible and go along with him since he gave me a good reason. Thinking like that has made things stressful.
So I haven't felt desperate enough for a divorce yet.
The spa town we'd be traveling to was one of my favorites. I thought I could have a lot of my own. While my husband and in-laws do their thing, they probably just thought of me as a driver. But worse comes to worst, my husband's father-in-law could also drive some. Anyway, I listened to my husband's instructions. On the next day, I collected the car and then headed to my in-laws.
Aren't you late?
What the? This is the car we're used. It would been better if we had a car. Well, I guess it's better than your leased.
The car I usually drive is a compact that I bought myself.
Since I use it to commute every day, the only one who really uses the car is me. For commuting, a compact car suits me perfectly.
I like the interior in the company car. My husband uses my car and drives high around in it without asking me. So his parents complain to me about and look down on me because they think I can't afford a big car. That's why we decided to go out of and rent a car for our trip. Honestly, I thought we could just use my father-in-law's car
If we had done that, they could have directed us to pick them.
up, and I would not have needed to back and forth like this. But my father-in-law said that he doesn't like driving long distances, and even more importantly, that he not let other people drive his car. For the selfish reason, he made us rent a car and drive him. My husband and I were supposed to driving, but he slept the entire ride for a while, drive the whole time. The entire time my husband was sleeping, his father-in-law criticized my driving. He would tell me to take turns where couldn't. When I had to stop at a red light, he would ask me why I didn't just drive through it. It was very annoying. My mother-in-law, who did not have a license, would also join in on criticizing me. I didn't want to be told anything from my mother-in-law who couldn't drive. And at the very least, I haven't had any car accidents like my father-in-law. They should really take away his license before he gets into a more serious accident.
Are you discriminating against me be my age? None of the accidents so far have been fault.
Is what he'd say whenever we suggest driving. Because of that, I honestly didn't want to drive me. But I really wish he would stop calling me for every little thing. As he was leaning forward from his seat to complain, he was spitting it, and it was pretty gross. My husband woke up as soon as we are.
Oh, it was faster than I expected.
Hearing my husband say that I was so casual about it honestly made me angry.
Since we drove the whole day, my in wanted to relax once we reached the...
So, we followed their orders and spent the rest of the day at the hotel. I wanted to wash my hair, so I quickly went to the hotel spa's mineral bath. After I strolled around the hotel and enjoyed myself.
We then ate dinner and all went back to our rooms.
By the way, for this trip, I got a single RC bed, while my husband and I stayed together in a 3-person room. I had a lot of space for myself, so this was way nicer for me. I went back to the mineral bath to relax, and then returned to my room. I had bought beer and snacks from the store, so I spent my time watching TV snacking. Around this time, Lucas must be with teammates eating dinner together, and fun time. Or maybe he's in his training camp playing games. I didn't want to annoy him by constantly texting him. I'll tell him about the trip once W home. I realized it was already midnight, so I tucked into bed and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up and enjoyed fresh air. How nice would it be if I could wake refreshed every morning?
There were 2 hours until the time Mai said we should all gather for brek.
It was still only 6:30, It seems I've gotten used to waking early to prepare lunchboxes for Ep. That is right. Since I'm here, I might as well take a relaxing morning bath. I went back to the hotel bathhouse and soaked into the hot water. The weather was nice, so the outdoor bath felt amazing. I got back to my room and texted Lucas. I'm pretty sure he said he would be back home tonight, so he will probably be waiting until we get back. By the time I texted Lucas, gathered luggage, and put on makeup, it was around 8:30. I went to eat breakfast. I was supposed to eat breakfast with my in-laws and husband, so I headed to my room. But when I knocked on their door, the reply, maybe they've already gone to the break hall.
The breakfast area wasn't that big. They were there, I would have seen that.
I sent James a text, but he didn't. Thinking it couldn't possibly be true, she spoke to the hotel receptionist, who confirmed that James and his parents had already checked out and left. They told me they were going to eat at 8:30. It seems the hotel breakfast began, so that they wouldn't have to eat with. On top of that, they left me to check and pay for them, telling me that they'd pay for the lie. I had to pay for both of our rooms. Of course, the car was gone. They wanted to leave me behind and their own. At first, I was furious, but then I realized there was no point. If that's how they feel, fine. Relaxed, I went back to the breakfast table and ate. I rested in the hotel right until it was checkout time. Now then, what should I do next? As I was thinking this, my mother-own called me. Hey, where are you? When I said that, my mother-in-law loudly.
It's our first family trip in a while, so I just want to enjoy it with my family after all.
Then, why did you invite me in the first place?
We brought you to drive us and to the hotel. We brought you to a resort town where you ate delicious food, so you should be grateful to us.
If I had come with Lucas, it would be much cheaper. Why do I need to pay for the three?
To hold back my anger, I let out a
We will go home after finishing our sightseeing. Maybe you can run home? I'm not sure how many days that does.
My mother-in-law laughed as she made me. I didn't want to leave things like that. Is James driving now? Please put the call on speakerphone. He can hear me. Following my request, I could hear voice.
What happened? Why you want to talk?
Were you planning to leave me like the beginning?
Don't get that mad. You like that spa town, right? Enjoy it on your own today. There's laundry to do and our son back from his training camp at so get home tonight to finish that.
You should do your own laundry yourself.
I am the proud winner of this family. The head of the family is telling you to relax and then come home. You should be crying out of happiness right now. I will teach you a lesson when I get tonight, so be prepared.
I'm never going to see you again, Annie. My husband and in-laws all exclaimed with surprise. I didn't see you today, so dinner law was the last time.
What do you mean?
My husband's voice was trembling. Well, I'll be divorcing you. You handed me divorce papers a year ago, right? You've changed since we moved. Last year, you were especially cold to me. One day, you made me so angry that I served you with divorce papers. At the time, I was worried about how to afford Lucas' tuition, so I refused. Shortly after that moment, you apologized to me and said we shouldn't divorce. Though we carried on with our marriage, we stopped trusting each other. So I hired a private investigator. I found out that you were having a reunion with an old classmate. It seems like you met up with your hometown friends. She is a single mother with a daughter in middle school. At the time, you probably considered up with me and marrying her.
but she turned down the idea of getting married again.
You realized that if we divorced, he would have been alone, and you would have been stuck paying care. Anyway, you make my house feel like home with you in it. It's easier to be alone than to be lonely. Basically, from that point on, you call me your servant. But that's fine. I just stayed with your money anyway. I hid away the proof I had from the private investigator to use in case something happened. That affair of yours may have been over for less than a year, but us found out about it. You can still use it against her. As I spoke, I could hear how shocked my in-laws were. They didn't seem to know about James. I added one more thing and surprised my in-laws even more. I know you've been demoted and you're not making as much money anymore. But I want to have mercy when it comes to alimony. You owe me. My in-laws once again exclaimed, good of you to act so important where I make the same salary. I earn the same money as you, but I lunch for you and Lucas and cook everyone dinner. You were demoted and only do easy, the office. Don't you find it embarrassing to act tired and call yourself the family breadwinner? He was silent as I continued to rub salt on his wounds. The only reason I stayed married to Lucas was for his money. But I found out that as a single mom, I got support from my school. My parents will help me too, so I do you. You'll be paying me alimony and child support anyway. Even though I may have less money, I would rather have a stress-free and happy life without. My in-laws yelled out my name in an angry tone. It seemed like James wanted to say something, but I hung up the phone. I got onto the local bus and rode to the train station.
From there, I took the express train.
Feeling refreshed after telling everything I wanted to say, I had a beer on the train.
The timing of the bus and train was I made it home before evening.
I found the divorce forms and submitted them to City Hall. I'm glad James had already signed the contract. As I was packing my things, Lucas re-home.
Oh, you're back early? Why are you alone?
I needed to tell you what happened.
If you're getting a divorce, I'm con you.
Lucas didn't seem very upset or shocked. Well, he's already a high school sop. He must have understood that his father was having issues.
Let me pack my stuff too.
He went to his room to pack. Had called my parents while I was on the train. So they came with their car and Luca, all of our stuff. Being in the baseball team really had made him strong and dependable. He was so different from his father moved here. James was incredibly lame and complained about how heavy everything was at the time. We finished packing our things into the car and headed to my parents' home.
James and his parents had called cold times. So I finally called back when we made it to our parents' house.
Finally. Hey, why didn't you pick up the phone now?
I'm the one who decides when I pick phone.
Shut up. Won't divorce you.
No matter what you say, we're still strangers. You already signed the divorce paper ago. I have submitted my application.
No way.
I will be claiming alimony and child support from you. If you want to discuss that, please, my lawyer.
Think this over. It's true that I betrayed you once, but you don't have to worry because the only woman in my life now is you. I will take care of you again.
Hearing what James said made me feel so gross, like throwing up everything I had just eaten. How stupid are you? I have no love left for you anymore. Why don't you try hooking up with your ex-lover again? It seems like she's remarried, but I don't think you'll have much luck. James seemed shocked. It seems that if he couldn't remarry, he would have to live with his wife's sister. He planned on going back to his ex. Why are men so simple-minded? I found out that she had remarried, so I contacted her about receiving condolences from her.
James' ex-wife had told me she was paying alimony. She just wanted to
Keep it a secret so that she could live peacefully with her new husband. She seemed very sorry for what so I let her get away with just pay. Compensation. Anyway, I would need it for Lucas. I received alimony and compensation, James. It seems that he couldn't pay it with salary and savings alone, so he had his parents for help.
My ex-in-laws were incredibly shocked.
Their son would do something like that. They're just as dumb as him, but they also deserve to be punished, is good. After everything was resolved, I returned to my apartment with Lucas, and we lived happily ever after. Even after we began living just the two of us, Lucas continued to grow into a man. Today, my parents and I went to watch his baseball game.
Seeing him standing at home plate, bat in hand.
He looked so grown up. A sharp, metallic noise rang across baseball field as he hit the ball, and he and his teammates zoomed across bases. As I thought to myself about how happy I am to be.
Watching Lucas grow like this, I clapped and cheered him on.